G'day viewers, I'm Chris. Welcome to the Creative Space. How about we head on over to the workbench and get creative? Here we are again at the workbench. Well, today's project is a bit of a gift making project. So here in Australia we've got Mother's Day coming up shortly in a few days time, and this is a great handmade unique gift that you could give mum. The items that you're going to need to make this will be a pair of scissors, a hairdryer, some felt tip pens of many colours. You will need a pillar candle. I'm using a 75 millimeter pillar candle. So it's 75 high and it's about 22 centimeters around. White. Use a white one. Gives a much better finish than if you're using a coloured one. You'll need some masking tape. You'll need some tissue, like your wrapping kind of tissue paper. And you'll need, so for this, you'll need either an A4 piece of paper if you want to design your own, or linked to this, I have a template, a butterfly template, which you're free to print off and use for this project. If you're wanting to do your own design, then it's pretty simple really. All you need to do is make the rectangle you want to put your design in the same height as your pillar candle, and then measure around it to make sure that you get the length of your rectangle, and then you can place your design within that. So if you're going to do your own, then you'll just need a piece of plain paper, pencil, ruler to rule it all out. But today, for this project, we're going to be using the template that you'll find a link for in the description below. All right, and I think that's about all that we need. And probably something to just put on your workbench to stop any felt pen colouring coming through onto your workbench. Hence why we have a lovely green workbench for this episode. All right, well, let's get underway. So let me just clear the workbench a bit. Get rid of all that. Over there. We'll get one of our templates there. And what you want to do is cut the tissue paper into slightly bigger than the size that you've got. So I don't know if you can really see, but here the piece of tissue paper is just slightly bigger than the rectangle that we need. And let me get that. So let's, with the tissue paper, you'll also notice that there's a rough side and a shiny side. So what we want to do is have the shiny side up. So that's the side that we're going to be drawing on. So place your tissue paper over the top. Sorry about that car going by there. Over the top, and then we're going to get some masking tape just to put on the ends to keep it from slipping. And there we go. Now the first thing that we're going to be doing is pretty much tracing over the design that you've got. So if you've got your own design, make sure you've used a dark, like a Sharpie pen or something, so you can clearly see the design that you've got through the tissue paper, or like a I don't know, 6B pencil, so it's nice and dark. Then what we're going to do is use the black felt pen, felt marker, and we're simply going to draw around, or trace, I should say, trace the design out. Now when you're doing this with felt pens and tissue paper, sometimes if you hold the felt pen on too long, or you run along one spot too much, you will end up tearing the tissue paper, because the felt pen does make the paper a bit soft. And if you've got areas that you're colouring in and you can still see white through, don't just keep going over it, because you will rip the tissue paper. My advice is, if you've got, just do your design, let it dry for a few minutes, and then come back and just touch up any white areas that you might want covered. But to begin with, all we're doing is tracing over the design. And as we do, just don't push the felt pen too hard into it. Like I said, just keep it nice and light as you do your design. And also, if you do happen to have the rough side up of the paper, you will notice that you'll get a bit more bleeding into the tissue paper than you do if you're doing it on the shiny side. So go ahead and do that. I won't bore you watching me trace out this whole design, so we'll come back shortly when it's all done. And there we have it, all done for the design part. Now all we have to do is colour it all in. So again, I will just skip this part and we'll come back when it's all coloured in. All right, and that is it. So we've done our design on the tissue paper. I'm actually going to leave these parts just as they are, white, because when you are putting it onto the candle, that kind of becomes translucent anyway, so I think it'll give a really good design. So what you're wanting to do now is, with the template, it gives you the right size for it to fit around the 75mm high candle. So I'm going to cut that out now, and then we'll be able to attach it onto the candle. And there we go, all cut to size. Now you might want to just leave it sit for 5 minutes or so, just to let the felt pen dry a bit. But as you can see, I've got a nice design there too. But as you can see, it's come out really, really well. So the next stage will be attaching this on to the candle. If we get a piece of masking tape just on the back of that, just to hold it together, and just make a little tab on there, so we'll be able to remove it off the back. And there we have it. Now what you're going to want to do is get the hairdryer on a reasonably warm setting, hot setting, or the hottest that it has. And what we're basically doing is melting the wax of the candle, and you'll soon see that it will start to absorb into the tissue paper. So let's give this a try. And you can hopefully kind of see that the wax is melting there. And there we have it. Yeah, the wax will now cool down and solidify, and your pattern is now embedded onto the candle. As you saw, I had a bit of a very minor catastrophe. Oh, that's still coming up there. But if anything like that happens, of course, you just keep melting the wax and smoothing it back down, and it all seemed to go back in okay. But because it slid a bit, it's now a bit wider than the actual candle. So I'll trim that off and give it another blast. There we go. So if at any time your design kind of goes a bit haywire in the melting process, don't be too concerned. The only thing that you may need to be worried about is touching it too much initially until all the wax bleeds in through the tissue paper. But there we go. We now have our own custom made candle, all ready for a gift. Again, the link to the template is in the description below, so if you want to use that one, that is for a 75mm high pillar candle, so you can use that for this height. If you're using longer candles, then of course you can adjust your own design to that, or give me a bell, send me through a message, and I can do up a template for a higher pillar candle if you want. So it's a very effective one. You'd probably might need to wear a pair of gloves when you're using the hairdryer, because it does get a tad hot. But other than that, I really like doing this craft. The effect that you get from it once all the wax melts through is really quite amazing, actually. And it's all safe. You can still burn the candle and it will burn down into the center, and if any wax does melt away from the edge, then it's purely safe because it's covered in wax, so it won't, if it does happen to get near the flame, it's not going to burn up. But yeah, so there you go, a custom made pillar candle. So I hope you have fun and enjoy doing that. If you give it a go, please attach some photos for us to have a look at. Well, that's another episode of The Creative Space, all wrapped up in tissue paper. Thanks for watching. Please hit that bell to get notified of new content that I put up. Also subscribe. Would really appreciate that if you subscribe to the channel. Please share this on your social media as well to your friends. That would be awesome. And I'd love your feedback. So please, in the comments below, if there's a craft that you'd like demonstrated on how to do it, then please comment below. Also, a reminder that over at Amazon, our Creative Journey journals are now out and live. The links to these are in the description below, so please click on them, head over to Amazon and check them out. And remember, until next time, that every day is a good day to be creative. See ya.